It's Friday, October 17th, 2025. We've got a Friday 5-pack of news stories and Ask or Tell Me Anything. That's next on the AM Update. Well, for the ever-dwindling numbers of you who are able to catch the AM Update in the AM, thanks to Apple and a combination of Apple and Liberated syndication, I appreciate you listening nonetheless. I'll have more to say on what's going on with the ever erratic timing of when each episode of the AM Update drops. I really won't have any updates for you, just some belly aching. That's basically what I'm saying. In the meantime, though, it's a Friday 5-pack. 5 stories caught my eye to begin this Friday morning. John Bolton, former national security advisor for President Trump during the first Trump administration, has been indicted by a federal jury for mishandling classified information. He is in deep trouble, from what it looks like. According to the federal indictment against him, he not only stored thousands of pages of classified documents at his home long after his government employment ended, he actually shared that classified info with multiple people who were uncleared for security clearance via unsecured Google and AOL email. So it looks like Mr. Bolton, with those great eyebrows and that walrus-ish mustache, is up the creek. He has been indicted. President Trump reacted to the news for the first time. He hadn't heard it at the White House yesterday.
Just indicted by a grand jury in Maryland. Do you have a reaction to that?
I didn't know that. You told me for the first time, but I think he's, a bad person. I think he's a bad guy. Yeah, he's a bad guy. It's too bad, but that's the way it goes.
The case against him?
So there's President Trump at the White House. A callback to the moment he was informed of Ruth Bader Ginsburg's passing. I was not aware of that. You're telling me for the first time. Also adding in that John Bolton is indeed a bad individual. Story number 2, Mitch McConnell, senator from Kentucky.
Working people off the streets and kidnapping
Walking
them.
through a tunnel in the nation's capital, being asked by a reporter about immigration and customs enforcement, taking another nasty fall. The dude needs to retire. I have absolutely no mirth in watching that. It's just sad. Just sad that he doesn't have anywhere better to be than walking around ignoring reporters in the Capitol. And that was a bad fall yesterday. He was helped up, got to his feet immediately, and walked off on his own power. So that is some good news. We've got a couple of debates to handle for stories 3 and 4. Jay Jones, Democrat nominee for Attorney General of Virginia, debated his counterpart, his Republican counterpart, last night. Here is Jay Jones' opening statement. Of course, you can probably guess what the topic du jour was.
And you're also going to hear from my opponent about text messages that I sent that I deeply, deeply regret. Let me be very clear. I am ashamed. I am embarrassed, and I'm sorry. I am sorry to Speaker Gilbert. I'm sorry to his family. I'm sorry to my family. And I'm sorry to every single Virginian. I cannot take back what I said. But you have my word that I will always be accountable for my mistakes. And you also have my word that I will spend every waking moment fighting for you.
There's Democrats Attorney General nominee for the state of Virginia, Jay Jones. If you didn't know what he was talking about, you would say maybe he was making fun of the appearance of a Republican counterpart or Republican opponent's family or something like that. Just distasteful messages. Because he never spoke about what he was talking about. He was wishing for the death. He was wishing death upon a Republican lawmaker in Virginia. He was wishing for the death of that lawmaker's children in the arms of their mother. And he says he'll not shy away from taking accountability. True accountability would be dropping out of this race. Shame on the voters of Virginia. Shame on Virginia if you let him get away with this. And don't punish him at the ballot box. Another debate. Zohran Mamdani debated independent candidate for mayor of New York. That would be Andrew Cuomo last night. Here is Zohran Mamdani, the Islamist, socialist, communist, the Islamunist, talking about and trying to shame Cuomo for, I'm guessing you can probably imagine, maybe you can't. Here, I'll let you listen.
Candidate in the Democratic primary for him to set foot in a mosque. He had more than 10 years, and he couldn't name a single mosque at the last debate we had that he visited. And what Muslims want in this city is what every community wants and deserves. They want equality and they want respect. And it took me to get you to even see those Muslims as part of this city. And that, frankly, is something that is shameful and is why so many New Yorkers have lost faith in this politics.
Yeah, except, that is totally false.
So there's Zohran Mamdani trying to shame former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, now independent candidate for mayor of New York, trying to shame him for never having stepped foot inside of a mosque. So here's two campaign planks for Zohran Mamdani, the Islamunist. You'll recall that really well and slick produced promotion commercial that he did, or really it was a short form video about how he's campaigning on bringing back $8 halal food to the streets of New York. And now he's shaming Andrew Cuomo for never having stepped foot in front or inside of a mosque. This is going to be the next mayor of New York, Zohran Mamdani. And he's campaigning overtly on multiple occasions now for Muslims. For Muslims. Again, it will be just. It will be just. And I do not wish this to happen. It would be merciful if God allowed, through some miracle, Andrew Cuomo, nursing home Andrew Cuomo. It would be merciful to the city of New York if he were elected mayor. And think about all of the havoc that he oversaw during COVID. That's the merciful option for the nation's largest city. The justice option is Zohran Mamdani on several levels. Yes, he's a rabid, flaming Islamunist, commie Islamist, but he's also utterly incompetent. He's never run anything. That combination would be disastrous. We stay in New York. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, rumored far and wide, wanting to primary Chuck Schumer, the Senate Minority Leader. She had a town hall on CNN the other night, asked this very question.
But are you saying that Senator Schumer should not be worried about a primary challenge from you?
All right.
No.
Let me jump in on this one. This is what we're
talking about.
That's exactly what we're talking about.
This is what we're talking about.
You have a country that is falling apart. We had a housing crisis, a healthcare crisis, an education crisis, massive income and wealth inequality, a corrupt campaign finance system, and the media says, "Oh, you're going to run? What are you going to run for?" Nobody cares. So run more towards
nobody cares. It's the House Speaker and President Trump and the Vice President saying it.
All right.
Pardon?
Well, of course, they're saying it to deflect attention away from the real issue.
Exactly.
And here, let me tell you what the real issue is. Let's see if CNN talks about it. We're living in the richest country in the history of the world, right? All right, you tell me why we're the only nation not to guarantee health care to all people, the only nation not to guarantee paid family and medical leave.
Blah, 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 blah,
why we have a
blah.
$7.25...
So yeah, AOC along with Bernie Sanders at that town hall going apoplectic when asked whether or not Chuck Schumer needs to be worried about a primary from the left when it comes to AOC. Just going absolutely apoplectic. I mean, there's a reason why Chuck Schumer shut down the government. There's a reason. And there's AOC and Bernie Sanders launching into histrionics. Can't believe CNN would deign to do such a thing. Hey, quick note on something I mentioned in passing yesterday about the wrap-up of Operation Summer Heat. I think I said a number that was way, way, way high in terms of arrests that they made of violent criminals across the country. The number was around 8,600 arrests of violent criminals around the country. That was just something that I totally biffed yesterday. I didn't have the exact number right up in front of me, and so my brain reverted to the last number I saw, which I think was 32,000 something. I don't know what that number was about, but totally biffed on that when I set the record straight before the break. When we come back after the break, it'll be another round of Ask or Tell Me Anything, and also I complain, I bellyache, I moan, I wail about frickin' Apple and my podcast host. That's coming up next. So I really do appreciate everybody who still made the effort, and it has been an effort. It has been an effort. I recognize that in listening to the AM update the last 2 weeks. And yes, I'm kind of making light of it, making fun of the fact that I'm belly aching or complaining. Just personally, though, it's been a really, really frustrating last couple of weeks. I don't have a huge audience, but the audience that I have, at least on some level, I try to respect your time and expectations. You expect a podcast, an episode first thing in the morning, and it's just not been consistent for 2 weeks now, and it's been completely out of my control. At least Apple is getting back to me, and I'm not totally sure what the issue is, and I don't think Apple is evil even. I do think Apple is evil. I don't think Apple is even trying to understand me. And I know they have, I'm just a number. But it's really frustrating when you take the time and energy to do a show like this every single day. This is not my main job. This is not my main employment. Ancillary to that, and I think it helps me get better at the skill of hosting a show and carrying a conversation by myself. I've gotten better at just sitting down and doing this in one take. Better, not great, but better. But to put the time and energy into this and not being able to rely on it getting out to the audience that expects it has been really, really frustrating. Really frustrating. So, all that is to say, for everyone who's made the extra effort to try to find it on an alternative platform, the vast majority of you listen on Apple Podcasts, but to everybody who's made the extra effort to try to find it on Amazon Music or Spotify, what have you, I appreciate that a lot. I really do. I don't really have an update on when this is going to be resolved. Like I said, Apple has at least been talking to me now, but I don't know when this issue is going to be resolved because I don't really know what the issue is. There's part of me that maybe thinks that this has to do something with the premium subscription that I offer for Apple Podcast listeners, where you can pay $5 a month and get rid of the ads. And something is going herky-jerky with that. There's about a 10% chance at this point I might discontinue that, which would be taking money out of my pocket. But I would rather have a consistently delivered podcast than miss out on the money that I make from that premium subscription. That's kind of where we're at right now. So, again, I appreciate everybody's patience. You've shown more patience maybe than I have when it comes to Apple and liberated syndication, because there were two issues this last week. There's an issue with the RSS feed, and there was the Apple issue, which I still don't know what it is, because they won't actually make any effort to tell me. All right, let's get to Ask or Tell Me Anything. Jeff, coming to us live from the Middle East, wants me to reminisce about this game. Lamoni 12, Tri-County 20, September 12th, 2008. That was a very, very wet evening. Still was not actually playing for varsity yet. And however wet you've ever been, and I'm talking about wetter than you've been under the surface of a swimming pool for the last 5 minutes. Wetter than that. That's how wet everyone was that night. As we traveled up to Tri-County to take on, the Trojans, and we lost in the rain, in the standing water in the field. I think we did our halftime, actually, instead of going into locker room, I think we actually did it right there on the field in the rain, because we were playing so poorly. We didn't deserve to go back to the locker room. So yeah, there's some reminiscing about that game, Jeff. I appreciate that. And he also adds, he's over in the Middle East right now. He's got a new baby at home. They did get paid this week. So Jeff wants to let everybody know that the servicemen and women did indeed get paid. Justin says, not exactly a news story. One of our clients is hosting events tomorrow for the 107 Days book tour. Pray that we all have wisdom and display the fruit of the Spirit as we navigate this. It's 2 sold-out events. So what is this? 107 Days book tour. That is the Kamala Harris book tour. I forgot that was the name of her book. But he says, Justin says, one of our clients is hosting events for the tour, the Kamala Harris is doing. And he wants wisdom and to display the fruits of the Spirit because Justin rightfully inferring that he's going to need that. So, Justin, thank you for bringing that to our attention. Justin, ATB says, noting the battle lines being drawn over Mark Driscoll, should evangelicalism follow the big tarp approach of the Republican Party and simply not press for clear answers to the tough questions of his conduct and departure from Mars Hill? Well, what I'm going to say is known to everybody close around me, even those who like Mark Driscoll, so I don't have any problem saying it publicly. On the one hand, at the very least, there was a lot of smoke when it comes to Mars Hill and what happened with Mark Driscoll there. And where there's smoke, there's usually some fire. Now, the main expose that illuminated the entire country, Christendom, to Mark Driscoll's alleged inactions, missteps at Mars Hill, that was produced, I believe, by Christianity Today, which, of course, is Christianity Never. So that's already somewhat of a problem with the entire narrative. However, I do think it's pretty clear there were some missteps. And to my understanding, Mark Driscoll has fessed up to that. Now, I'm still rather uncomfortable, and I'll say uncomfortable, because I don't know, because I'm rather laissez-faire to this entire story, because a lot of the people absolutely lampooning Mark Driscoll right now, a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of the people are the same people who, they're on the David French path. Let's just say that. Not all of the people lampooning Mark Driscoll now, and I don't even know why this is a story this week. It went viral at the beginning of the week. I think he's a great teacher. Don't know if he should be a pastor. A lot of the people lampooning him would be of no use to you or I in a dark alley. And I remain a little skeptical about him as some sort of a pastoral figure. I do know, though, the dude fights. His theology and his teaching is, it's not 100% in alignment with what I believe on every jot and tittle, specifically when it comes to cessationism. But at the same time, he does have a focus on men and getting men to act. And I appreciate that about him. So whether or not that means that the American church should adopt the big tarp approach of the Republican Party, I'm not sure about that. I just know that you will know a tree by its fruit. And there, I think, is some rotten fruit when it comes to Mark Driscoll. From what I can see, there's some good fruit as well. Whether or not he should be a pastor, I don't know. And I'm not trying to cop out. I just don't know. I don't know. I don't know if he should be. Jenna says, when Mamdani wins the New York mayoral race, how much will that affect upstate New York asking for a friend? Well, Bill de Blasio was a socialist. And so you can maybe go back to that for a frame of reference. But I get the idea that Bill de Blasio, corrupt, yes. Socialist, yes. Wants to spend all of other people's money, yes. But he was somewhat competent in terms of like, hey, can the trains run 10 minutes late? Not on time. He's a socialist, of course. But can they at least be 10 minutes late? Something like that. There was some form of stage presence, I guess. With Mamdani, I'm not sure, other than the charisma in, produced videos that you see. Kind of that polished persona. In terms of actually running an organization the size of the New York City government, I don't think you're going to get any of that. So you're going to get all of the worst stuff of Bill de Blasio. All of the worst stuff of Bill de Blasio, plus he's an Islamist. And plus, he has no experience. He's incompetent. So, good luck, Jenna. I don't know if that answers your question. I don't know if that answers your question at all. But whatever the frame of reference is for Bill de Blasio, if that affected you in upstate New York, probably triple, quadruple, quintuple that. Steven Zimmerman says, do you eat organic? As much as we can. Yeah, it's expensive. We do most of our shopping at Costco, Trader Joe's, and Aldi. You would be surprised by the number of of good options, healthy options at Aldi. That's pretty much all that Trader Joe's does in terms of, serious groceries, not talking about snacks, things of that nature. And then Costco has a lot of high quality food as well at agreeable prices. So we try to eat as clean as we possibly can. Let's go to Mark. Give us your opinion on Adam Steen running for Iowa governor. He seems to be saying all the right things. Yeah, I got to meet the dude, and he's a pretty down to earth fellow. I do get the idea, though, that we are kind of running into crunch time here. Kim Reynolds left us in a very difficult position, trying to find somebody to run for governor who is not Randy Feenstra. But Randy Feenstra is the only one right now who has any discernible form of name ID, unfortunately. And he's a complete and total puke. So I get the idea we are up against the clock when it comes to Adam Steen raising money, raising name ID. I think at this point, maybe once, I don't know. I like Adam Steen. He definitely knows what time it is. He was one the Satanists sued because of the Baphomet statue in the Iowa State Capitol that was taken down. He is definitely a bureaucrat, but he is not the drone that you stereotypically associate with a bureaucrat. He's a very personable guy, and he knows how government works. That would be a great asset to him if he were to be elected governor. And I don't think Randy Feenstra can beat Rob Sand. I just don't. Rob Sand is the stereotypical sociopath, can just basically project whatever you want him to be, and he'll be that for you. He is the fence setter, but he's a communist at heart. But he's a good candidate too. So I like Adam Steen. That's who I would support if the primary were today. From a lot of people that are getting to know him, that like him a lot. And so we'll see where that goes. But I do like Adam Steen. He would be my choice. Gary says Trump's bailout of the American farmer will be huge, but usher in an 80s-style farm crisis if no trade deals are done soon. Also disregard Trump talking about cooking oil recently. That's been dealt with like 6 months ago. I didn't hear about that, but I'll take your word for it, Gary. Yeah, the economy is, I think, in a very tenuous and precarious moment. And I think sentiments like yours, Gary, you are a farmer. I think your sentiment kind of bears that out. There are several things I've been reading about recently. I think Ed Dowd would be a good follow if you're wanting to read about the macro picture of the economy. Edward Dowd, at Dowd Edward on X, at DOWDEDWARD on X. I've been reading a lot of him recently, and he's not the perpetual sky is falling guy, but he's very honest with what he thinks is going on with the macro economy, stock market, things of that nature. For example, earlier this week, I had a little lengthy post, a medium-sized post on X, discussing how China is kind of screwed right now. They have always been export-driven, at least in the last 20 years, 20, 30 years. Export-driven, but with the collapse of their real estate sector back in 2020, they have really, really upped the exports to try to keep things afloat in China. So they are in dire straits economically. China is. Our bond markets are going haywire, and that's basically, the bond market is basically the backbone. If you, by some measurable ways, it's the backbone of our global financial viability when it comes to the United States. Those have been going haywire this entire year. Something's about to break. I cannot escape that feeling, and I hate saying that, because if something breaks in the next 12 months, it's going to be a complete, the say goodbye to the Trump administration, basically. Something breaks economically, but there's a lot of plates spinning, and I'm not super optimistic about the state of the economy right now. And Ed Dowd is one of those people who says something needs to break so we can, so we can heal the economy. And I think Ed's outlook is kind of a correction on the housing market in our country as well. That might be the first thing to break. D.R. Griffin says, what are some of your favorite books or stories from your childhood? Early childhood was Mike Mulligan and his steam shovel. Loved that book when I was a small child. I was just thinking about this book the other day. I read this in middle school. It's The Swiss Family Robinson. And that is a fun book to read, especially for boys. This is basically what would you do if you were stranded on an island and you had to build a civilization for yourself? So that's a cool book. So those are a couple of things that popped in my head immediately when I saw that question. James says, is it right for Christians to keep supporting sports teams that openly reject biblical values and promote the death cult worldview instead? I need to know which team you're talking about, but since you're probably talking about the WNBA, yeah, I don't know why conservatives still pretend to like the WNBA. I just don't. Caitlin Clark didn't even play this year. Hardly. So I don't know why people are pretending to still enjoy the WNBA. I really don't. Chris, let's end on this one. I was listening to AM Update a couple Saturdays ago when Aaron and Bella were doing the No Suck Saturday show. Aaron stated that his podcast was uplifting, much like a bra. Aaron, did you get that look from Bella after I said that statement? All of us married men would like to know. No, I did not get that look from Bella. When we're in public, I never get that look from Bella. If anything, I get the kill it look from Bella if I start to do something funny or edgy like that. Do it. It's when we're in private that she hardly ever gives me that look. It's when we're private and joking in private. Oh my goodness, Aaron. That's when she does that. But no, she never does that in public, which I love that about her. It's a blessing. I love her. That's going to do it for a Friday. Thank you again for listening to the AM Update this week. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. Back at it again on Monday.